Hi, Student Success. This is your video for week 2, which runs from January 25th through January 31st. So hopefully week 1 went smoothly. I was enjoying, reading everyone's introductions. So week 2, hopefully things will be easier. And as we progress throughout the semester, navigating Blackboard should be, you get more accustomed to it. But just as a reminder, when you do log in to our course, it'll always kind of land you right here on the Start Here page. There's that intro video if you ever need to review it again, and the version that eStark State uploaded. And then, of course, you have your syllabi and some other resources there, linked to your textbook, all in that Start Here section. Most of our work will be right here in the lessons area. This will be kind of like your most frequented page in Blackboard, where you have another link to your textbook. The lounge where you can introduce yourself. Remember, that did not count for attendance purposes, just for introducing yourself and getting to know classmates. If you have to ask a question, the syllabus quiz, the student services assignment, which I will talk about throughout the semester. They're going to start having those workshops uploaded soon, so you can kind of take a look and maybe knock that out early in the semester than later. And then, of course, you'll start seeing the weeks. I'm recording this video in week 1, so that's why you're still seeing week 1 on my screen, although when you go to view this, you'll be seeing week 2 open with the week 2 video. Also, as a reminder, I will be putting announcements on. Hopefully you've been checking those. Anything I put an announcement also goes in as a course message. Please also be checking the course calendar. You'll be able to see the assignments for the week as soon as the week opens, and then just be diligent in checking your grades. I do teach many sections of online courses, and I try to grade anything fairly quickly, but I do like to remind students to kind of, have that accountability for themselves as well, just to double check that things have been entered, that they've completed everything. So just to make sure that you are staying up with that also. All right, so we're going to go ahead and scroll down. We're going to get into our week 2. As you can see, it is chapter 2. Again, I like when it lines up like that. It makes it nice and easy. Week 2, chapter 2. So you will be looking through chapter 2 in our online text, and you'll see that you have 2 assignments due this week. So your first assignment is your College Resources Digital Scavenger Hunt, which will be due by Sunday. And then your Chapter 2 discussion, which is going to model and look a lot like your Chapter 1 discussion. Your original response for attendance is due by Wednesday, and then you'll respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. So the learning objectives are here. I'm going to go ahead and click into the materials folder, and you'll see that there is a link for the textbook that'll take you right into Chapter 2. Now, this chapter to me, I think the organization part is applicable throughout your entire college career. The motivation part, I generally find that my students are already pretty motivated at the beginning of the semester. So typically the motivational strategies, for me anyway, aren't as relevant until probably halfway through the semester, the later end of the semester is when I usually find that my students are kind of starting to lack motivation, or just because they're just, it's exhausting, it's stressful. And so that's when you need those motivation more so than at the beginning. But it's helpful to have kind of in your proverbial back pocket to know these strategies. So as I mentioned in week 1, I encourage you to click around and really focus your attention on the area that you feel is most beneficial to you, whether you need to focus on goal setting, organizing your space or your time. I have a lot of students that time management in particular seems to be a struggle. So maybe you click on there and really focus in on this. It's going to talk about, first of all, the objectives, and then really looking and seeing, how am I spending my time? What does my time look like? So that you can kind of get an idea of, well, maybe I have more free time than I thought, or maybe I'm watching too much Netflix. I binged Bridgerton, for instance, over break. So, so looking at that kind of information and seeing where you could use some time to direct it toward your academic goals, which ties back to the other part of this chapter is your goal setting. Are you using your time to reflect your goals? So this is a helpful section to kind of look at strategies for time management, how you should be using your time, and then lots of different, again, procrastination, time management strategies here. Battling procrastination. So again, I always encourage students, look to see where it's going to be most helpful for you. I'll also kind of pull up these slides real quickly here. Here is our staying motivated in college. So again, hopefully you're already pretty motivated right now, beginning of the semester. Motivation tends to wane later in the semester, but what is kind of consistent is that you're the only one that can really motivate yourself. You need to have that internal motivation, although external motivation certainly helps. If you're not internally motivated, the external motivation may be not long term. So you need to kind of look to see what is motivation for you. All right, so part of that is setting your goals. So you want to set some short and long-term goals, and then some maybe even midway goals. So you may set some goals for this semester. During COVID, I always tell my students, not always, this is only a second semester, but what I've been telling my students is, be lenient on yourself. Things change day to day with COVID. Be flexible, be forgiving, but still set your goals, still work hard to achieve them. So you want to set goals. Maybe this semester it's to get a certain GPA. 3.5, and that's going to motivate you. And maybe in between your 3.5 GPA, little goals can be, okay, I need to implement certain study strategies. I need to plan a certain amount of time to study, and then adjust as needed. Maybe halfway through the semester, your anatomy and physiology class is kind of a little bit more tricky than you thought. And so you're like, you know what? I'm going to allow myself to do a 3.2. And that's okay. You can adjust your goals, but the thing is to make sure that you have them pretty defined, which is kind of part of that SMART goal setting. Make sure that they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable. And that's kind of what this slide goes into here. Make sure your goals are really clear, not just say, I want to get good grades. All right, that's a nice goal to have, but it's not specific. So you want to make sure you're specific. To be able to measure it. Is it easily achieved? And can you be flexible with it? So those are things to keep in mind. Some different types of goals. This goes over short-term, intermediate, and long-term, and it gives an example of what that might look like in this particular way of learning a language. So process goals is a different type of goal. Watching to see what strategies you use to get your goal met in the long term, and setting your goals at different levels. So all of this is going to talk to you about what different goals look like. Here are some motivational goals you could set for yourself. This is what I have to do for my kids. My oldest is a 4th grader, and so this year is really starting to have to study for things. And so we do like the chunk rule, which I know sounds a little silly, but we sit down and we study, for he's 10, so about 10-15 minutes, and then we take a break, and then later we come back to it and study again. So we break things up. Use the 5-minute rule. Give yourself some time. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes. Set some goals for each session. Hey, I'm going to write 2 paragraphs during this writing session, or I'm going to study for 20 minutes and I'm going to be able to recall 10 facts, whatever it might be. And then seek help if you need it. That's a big thing. There's a lot of resources on our campus, and you've already paid for them with your tuition money, so utilize them, please. So here's some other suggestions for staying motivated. Use some positive self-talk. I like Post-it notes. When I was working on my doctorate, I had Post-it notes all over my house, saying things like, hey, wouldn't PhD after your name sound great? Or, hey, should you be reading right now? So that worked for me. Other people like to write notes in their planners. I've had a student say they write a note after they take a shower in the steam on the mirror every morning. So whatever works, positive self-talk. Maybe use study groups if you can. COVID is a little tricky right now for that. But, studying with other people, even if it's virtually, take breaks, reward yourself. All those are ways to keep motivating yourself. And again, some other suggestions. These would be maybe halfway through. Reevaluate your goals. How's it going? Halfway through the semester, what does it look like? Am I achieving my goals? What do I need to change? Set priorities, and then just keep tabs on your motivation. How's it going? What is lagging? Is there a certain class maybe that I have less motivation in than others? And then there's the slides here on organizing your time and space. I know, oops, sorry, scroll down the wrong one here. So you need to make sure that you have kind of effective time and space management, especially, again, I'm going to mention COVID, but when COVID happened, most of my teaching went online, and so I've had to kind of set up a home office, and I noticed that if I try to do things in certain parts of the house, I'm less focused than others, so I should be sitting like at my desk with my materials around me, and it helps me focus in a little bit more as if I'm at my actual office on campus. So having a study space where you're the least amount distracted, whether that's at a kitchen table, a desk, typically not on your bed where you're nice and comfy, but make sure it's a place where you associate with studying, make sure it's available, make sure, it's kind of like that protected space. Like for my kids, they know like this is mommy's desk, because sometimes they make pictures for me to sit on the desk while I'm working, but they know that that's like my professional space. So if you have kids around you, making sure that they understand that's your study space, prepare for interruptions. So we have to make a lot of adjustments with COVID, but it still comes into play that you need to make that space for an effective study space. Also, you want to make sure that you don't want to multitask. There's a lot of research coming out from MIT in the last few years about how multitasking at one point was really kind of like all the rave, but now we're really finding out it's really not good for our minds. We can really only focus productively at one thing at any time, and if we start doing more than one thing, maybe we are writing a paper, but we're also checking our phone. That already just kind of throws us off, and it takes us longer, and it reduces the quality of work. So you want to try to set your time up so that you're not feeling like you have to multitask and that you're not going to be distracted. All right, so that's a real quick overview of the material for this week in Chapter 2. Now, the assignments, again, let me go into the assignment folder. You have your Chapter 2 discussion. So this is going to look very similar to Chapter 1, which is a nice thing. A lot of these are set up in a very similar fashion. So you'll see that you have 6 topics listed, and you are choosing 4 of the 6. So again, maybe you just happen to choose the first 4 or the last 4. You're going to kind of respond to those blank, if you will. So let's say if you talked about attitude. I had the most difficulty maintaining a positive attitude at the following times. Maybe you have a bad attitude during finals week, or you have bad attitude during midterms. How can you adjust your attitude? So that's what you're going to be responding to, and you're going to do that for 4 of those topics. Remember also you are responding to 2 classmates. So you want to do your original response by Wednesday. That's going to earn you not only your points for the post, but also for week 2 attendance, and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. That gets you the rest of the points for the post. If you respond late, you'll just get partial attendance points. So make sure you respond on time for your full attendance. The next thing that you're going to take is the College Resources Digital Scavenger Hunt, kind of like your Title IX quiz, where you're going to click on it. It's going to open up into like a new window, and it's going to talk to
Stark State College offers some excellent resources that will help.
The slides. It's going to show you some information. It's going to let you click on things, and it's going to make you answer some questions. This is another automatically graded assignment, so when you're done, make sure it's run all the way through the course of the slides, and then that your grade has copied over into the grade book. And like I did with week 1, I will send you an individual message inside Blackboard and say, hey, you're all done. That way you know you're on the right track. Okay, so as a quick recap, we are in week 2, chapter 2. You are looking at chapter 2 materials, and then you are completing the College Resources Scavenger Hunt by Sunday, and the chapter 2 discussion original post by Wednesday night, respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via Blackboard, my Stark State email, call my extension, whatever you need to do. Have a great week. Bye.